Anyone who says they never have surface clutter is lying. There's gonna be transitory clutter even if you have a very minimized, streamlined home. But I do think that there are things we can do, first of all, to eliminate that surface clutter very quickly in the moment, as well as strategies we can use to prevent it from happening in the first place. So first, I'm gonna talk about the strategies you can use when you have a bunch of clutter on your table or your kitchen counter, and then I'll talk about the things that you can do to try to minimize it in the long term. And I wanna acknowledge I'm still figuring this out for myself. Sometimes I get a little bit of clutter in my home, but I've really thought about what strategies have helped me, so I thought I'd share them with you. Also, if you're new to the channel, I just want to say hi, welcome. I'm Aylin, and I make videos on simple living, minimalism, and building an empowering mindset. If you want to see more content like this, definitely hit the subscribe button below. That's also a great way to support the channel. And if you could take a second, hit the thumbs up button too. A first strategy to get rid of surface clutter fast is to grab a garbage bag or a recycling bin and just go to the space and get rid of the actual garbage. So often I've noticed that clutter that gradually develops on surfaces is simply garbage, like wrappers or wrapping from objects you've somehow gotten, whether it's gifts or something in the mail, or just even stuff that objects are packed in when you buy them at a store. Quite often it's actually the garbage that I just take a little too long to get rid of, and if I eliminate that garbage off the bat, it already greatly reduces the clutter in my space. A second strategy is to deal with big objects first. If you want to get the most bang for your buck or for your effort, putting away the bigger objects first will clear off the space more quickly. If I'm spending a lot of time just dealing with little pens or trinkets that are scattered around, it's going to take me way longer than if I just go for the big deal items. A third strategy is to just have the attitude that you don't need to do it all at once. Because sometimes when there's a bunch of surface clutter, it just feels overwhelming and then I avoid it altogether. But if I instead just tell myself, hey, I'm just gonna work on this for 3 or 5 minutes, then it doesn't feel so overwhelming and I'm less likely to avoid it. If I just spend 3 minutes clearing off, especially those big objects first, I might see some significant improvement. And also if it's not this huge chore, I'm more likely to initiate decluttering or tidying in the future. Like sometimes I have to remember also, even if I get into the task of it, to eventually stop if I'm just doing more than I planned. Granted, if I really have the energy, I'll go for it, but sometimes I just need to remind myself I don't need to do it all right now, I'm just gonna do some of it. A fourth strategy is to get somebody to clear off the clutter with you. So often I'll actually ask my husband Andy, hey, can we just both clear off this space for 5 minutes? And because it's, again, a low commitment thing, he's happy to join me. Now, I know maybe not everyone has somebody to do that with them or someone as agreeable as that, but I do think if somehow you can help other people around you be motivated to clear off and enjoy the streamlined space as well, it can be a huge help to have an extra set of hands. If you have 2 people working on something, it's way better than 1. A fifth strategy is, as you're organizing or clearing off the space, to group items based on location. So if you have a kitchen table and you have a bunch of stuff that needs to go upstairs or to the basement or to the kitchen or to the garage, whatever it is, be sure to group items based on where they'll eventually go. I know this is common sense, but sometimes I find myself taking one thing at a time and walking upstairs and walking downstairs and not making it more efficient by planning my trips. So just be sure you're grouping things based on where they go. It'll save you a bunch of time. Now I want to shift to talking about how to not let your clutter build up as badly on those surfaces. And I will say this is easier said than done. It's something I'm still working on, so if any of you have thoughts on that, I'd love your feedback. But I think the first and perhaps most obvious thing you can do to keep your clutter at bay is to declutter. Rather than just organizing or moving things around, actually taking time to get rid of stuff in your home. The less you have, the easier it is to put things away, both because there are fewer objects to put away, but also because when you put something in a storage area that's open, that's easy to access, it just reduces all that extra friction or effort it takes to put it away. Think about when you have a really crammed closet full of hangers and clothes, and it takes a lot of muscle to open up a space to put your blouse away, versus when you have a closet that's open and airy and things can move around a little. Hanging something up in that closet is way easier. Same thing with shelving in the kitchen. If you have a bunch of mugs piled on top of each other, it's harder and even a little bit more anxiety provoking to put things away, because if it's crammed, then you're constantly worried you're going to knock something out and it's going to hit you in the face or you're going to break something. So decluttering in general, while I know it's obvious, is an important step in making it easier to put that surface clutter away. A second strategy to keep that surface clutter at bay is to have regular little tidying sessions. And that goes back to what I talked about before, just taking 3 to 5 minutes to tidy a space. But I think if we integrate it into our daily routines just a little bit in the morning, a little bit at night, rather than just waiting till it totally builds up, you're more likely to have a streamlined and open space. And honestly, I think doing that reduces stress in the long run. I think a lot of this is getting over the hump of initiating action. And again, it's about not making it seem like this big job, but just integrating it into your routine. As you move from one part of the house to another, always grab something with you and go. When you're moving through the kitchen, just put 2 little belongings away, throw a couple of things in the dishwasher, whatever it is, to just reduce the intensity of that surface clutter. This last one I think is a really useful strategy for me, and it's to have a hidden drop zone. So often visual surface clutter is there because we have nowhere else convenient to put the belongings. And realistically, even if you're super streamlined, there might just be those days where you have a whole bunch of stuff. Maybe it's after a holiday or after a big shopping trip or whatever it is. Eventually you're going to have some stuff. And maybe you don't have the time in the moment to put it all away. But by having some kind of back closet or space that's easily accessible, that's very cleared out on a regular basis, you can throw things there that you just don't have time to deal with right away. Part of this goes back to the decluttering in the first place. Like if you regularly declutter, then you might actually have a back closet to put things that are in transition. But I think knowing yourself, knowing that, you know what, sometimes I can't immediately put things away, and having a given spot for that you go back to and regularly tidy can clear up your visual surface space and really reduce stress in the long run. A key part of this, of course, is to regularly go back to that hidden drop zone and clear it out. So those are my strategies for quickly clearing off surface clutter, but I'd love to hear if any of you have ideas of your own. And again, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. It's a great way to support the channel. Anyway, thank you so much for spending this little bit of time with me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!